fight was as advertised by yours truly. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, part 3, going down last night on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. I watched the action from bell to bell, fight after fight after fight, in anticipation to what was an instant classic trilogy fight, capping off a wonderful rivalry, the likes of which this era of boxing has literally never seen. Far too long have we had two combatants that are two of the best in their weight class say to one another mutually, we won't fight one another until we're both past our prime. Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, maybe they both mutually didn't say that, but at one point, one fighter wanted it. At another point, another fight wanted it. Finally, we had two guys in Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder who mutually agreed from the get-go that they needed to fight one another in order to boost their brand, up their name, up the ante as far as proving who is the best heavyweight of this era in the sport of boxing. And Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder last night put on not only an instant classic performance against one another, but they put on an instant classic heavyweight title fight. Let's talk about this for just a moment before I break down the fight on the Thomas Take Sports podcast, Fury versus Wilder 3 post-fight reaction show. I'm talking the likes of Ali Frazier. I'm talking the likes of any great legendary heavyweight title fight. Fury Wilder 3 is now thrown in to that mix. It's not recency bias. It's not fluffing up this era, putting it on a pedestal that it doesn't belong on. Watching that fight from round after round, bell after bell, was an amazing fight last night. It takes two to tango, and Tyson Fury brought it. Deontay Wilder brought it, and I can't wait to recap this fight. Thank you all for tuning in. My name is Ryan Thomas. You're tuning into the Thomas Take Sports podcast on Facebook, YouTube, as well as any audio podcasting platforms, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Greatly appreciate the support. Combat sports is a huge love of mine, and I could not wait to preview this fight. Could not wait to predict this fight. I did so last night, and I want to read off my prediction and let everyone know how close to a T this prediction was. 2 hours before the fight took place. The fight took place at around midnight, 12:30 last night. It's pretty late night for me. Early morning for me, too. Late sleeper, early riser. Ryan Thomas on Facebook and Twitter. Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury is who I have winning tonight, but Wilder knows what is at stake. I expect to fight this time around. Much like the first, close, but Fury wins via TKO late. That's exactly how the fight went. The fight went exactly how I thought it would in terms of the method and who won and, the round. All that took place. All that was predicted. All of that I knew. What I didn't know was how many adjustments Deontay Wilder would make in this fight, especially in the first 5-6 rounds. And Deontay Wilder's adjustments have to be acknowledged as tip your cap to him. He made adjustments knowing that he needed to provide a different result, a better result. Deontay Wilder fought a lot better this third fight than he did the second fight. The second fight wasn't even close. This fight, for about 6-7 rounds, was a fight. And then we started to see Fury somewhat take over the bout, and Wilder eventually folded in the 11th round. But there's no reason for Deontay Wilder to hang his head after that performance. He took a hellacious, wide array of punches that would have knocked anyone out. Not Deontay Wilder. And eventually, those punches added up in the 11th round. Finally, one of those punches landed hard enough on the right spot for Deontay Wilder to fall. But as big of a loss as this is for Deontay Wilder's career, and it's a big one, it's the biggest loss of his career. He's got 2 losses against the same man. His stock actually went up. As crazy as that is, I talked about Deontay Wilder in the second fight, leading up to the second fight, saying that Deontay Wilder is not really a great boxer. And I don't know if Deontay Wilder is still a great boxer after that fight. Is he a better boxer, though, than what he was? Yes. And that's scary considering what he was able to accomplish as a brawler, as a slugger, and make the adjustments of throwing the body shot early and often in these early rounds. When Wilder was fresh and he had a gas tank, he was firing body punches. They were landing, they were hard, and then he worked his way to the top. It was very methodical, well thought out, X's and O's boxing game plan for a guy that has very long arms in Tyson Fury to be on the back foot due to not wanting to weather those hard body shots. Forced Tyson Fury to retreat a little bit. Wilder won rounds, there's no doubt about it. It's just that as the fight progressed, Fury was able to make his own adjustments as well. The gas tank for Fury was simply there. But Deontay Wilder knocked Tyson Fury down twice in one round. And it was a round that prior to that, he wasn't winning. Prior to those two knockouts in that very round, he was not winning that round. So that just goes to show you that Deontay Wilder has a resiliency and a toughness that I don't think he was given credit for heading into this fight. He sure as hell better be given the credit now, because that was incredible. That was the story of the fight, was not so much that Tyson Fury won and how he won, as well as Deontay Wilder and the bounce back toughness that he showed. Fury is the better fighter. Fury is the better boxer. We know that now. But Deontay Wilder showed something in there, at least to me. Those adjustments were necessary, and those adjustments were winning him rounds. As well, the toughness was unbelievable from Deontay Wilder. And what's amazing about this fight is that, it wasn't supposed to happen at this point. We were supposed to get Fury versus Anthony Joshua. The governing bodies of boxing got together and said, we need Wilder Fury 3. Deontay Wilder filed a lawsuit. He won and got this fight, lost this fight. But regardless, this was an instant classic. This was a fight that I will watch it plenty of times throughout the years. And it's a rarity in today's world of boxing that we have a fight like that. We haven't seen a fight quite like that in quite some time, where we can go back, watch it, understand it, appreciate it for what it was, what it is, and what it always will be. Two guys that mutually agreed on one thing. They both needed each other to prop up their careers. The sport needed them to fight. Their careers needed them to fight. They fought when they were supposed to fight. We could have had a great trilogy between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, possibly. At least two fights between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Instead, we got Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao when they were far too old to only fight one time even. Barely fight one time. And this was great. This was great. Each fight was great in its own way. The first fight was fantastic. The second fight was an all-out just mauling by Tyson Fury on Deontay Wilder. And Fury winning via TKO in the 11th round, the adversity that he had to battle to make that happen, the adversity that he had to battle in his own mind to even come back to the sport and face Deontay Wilder for the first time, let alone another time, fight him 3 times in a row, essentially the couple fights mixed in. Tyson Fury is the man. Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight of his era. It is now known that Fury is number 1. Joshua might not even be number 3. Certainly not right now. Alexander Usyk is 3. I would say Deontay Wilder is 2. Maybe Usyk is 2 and Wilder is 3. It's another topic for another day, but we could debate that all day long. But I feel like if Deontay Wilder was fighting anyone else but Tyson Fury or Joshua or Usyk, maybe even Joshua and Usyk, he would have a better chance than he would against Fury. There's just that fact that Tyson Fury is just too goddamn tough, too damn agile for his long, lanky, 6'9", 277-pound, flabby body. The agility that this man has is a sight that just simply does not make sense. It's a sight that just simply cannot be computed in my brain. How can a guy that tall, how can a guy that big, how can a guy that looks that out of shape have the gas tank that he has, have the agility that he has, have the punching power that he has, have the speed that he has. Frankly, there were moments in the fight where Fury was faster than Wilder while outweighing Wilder by more than 40 pounds. It just doesn't add up to me, but that's a special person. That is a special specimen as a human being in that ring. And it makes me wonder, as soon as a fight's over, I always ask this, and I feel somewhat disrespectful given the fight that these guys just had, but I have to ask what's next. I have to say, what is next for these guys? What is next for both men? Who is next for both men? Tyson Fury has the world at his fingertips right now. The boxing world is his to take. It's his to own. He's the heavyweight champion of the world. Alexander Usyk has something to say about that, but Anthony Joshua invoked his rematch clause yesterday. Oddly enough, Anthony Joshua invokes his rematch clause the same day that Fury and Wilder tangle for the third time. Usyk and Joshua is the fight to watch next. Whoever wins that fight between Usyk and Joshua, more likely than not, will get a crack at Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury deserves to kind of sit on the sidelines for a little bit. Obviously, stay disciplined, stay ready, stay focused, train as the champion with the bullseye on your back, and I have no doubt in my mind that he'll do that. But Tyson Fury deserves a little bit of a victory tour, a little bit of a respect tour, because frankly, I think far too many people are still doubting Tyson Fury and the ability that he has inside the boxing ring, inside the squared circle. I was blown away by the fact that Tyson Fury was knocked down 2 times in 1 round, got to his feet, and looked fresh as a daisy in that next round. That ability to recover, that ability to move forward is what makes a champion. And to quote Rocky Balboa, it ain't about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit, blah, blah, blah. We know the rest. Tyson Fury embodied that last night. Deontay Wilder embodied that last night. It was a great, great fight. And to see the adjustments made by both men leading up to an 11th round TKO victory for Fury, I think if it went on the judges' scorecards, I'd feel confident in saying Fury probably won 9 out of the, well, maybe 7 out of the 10 rounds. Yeah, 7 out of 10 rounds, 6 out of 10 rounds. I'm confident in saying Fury was winning that fight on the judges' scorecards. But then again, these judges are so incompetent and corrupt and inept that who knows what to believe out of that. But I'm just from my viewpoint, it looked like Fury won that fight to me on the judges' scorecards prior to getting this 11th round TKO. But Joshua invoking this rematch clause with Usyk, it makes me think to myself, shouldn't Joshua and Wilder fight just right here, right now, in an Usyk and Fury fight? Like, that would be nice. But that rematch clause is in the contract with Joshua. Joshua wants another crack at Usyk. I actually think that's a bad move for Joshua's career. With a win over Usyk, it's a guy that he's supposed to beat. With another loss to Usyk, it's really putting him in the corner of the heavyweight division. It kind of goes to what I was talking about with Joshua's rematch with Andy Ruiz. Joshua fights Andy Ruiz again. He's supposed to beat him. Joshua fights Andy Ruiz again and loses. He lost 2 fights to a pudgy fighter. And who will touch him with a 10-foot pole as far as fighting him? There'd be no reason for anyone to fight him at that point. With all due respect to Andy Ruiz, it would be a bad business move for Joshua to fight him again. And I'm saying it in the past tense, knowing that they already fought. I know that they already fought. Joshua got the win, got his revenge. But even in that performance, it didn't exactly elevate his stock. It was a very safe fight for Joshua to take. And he fought a very safe fight and put himself out of danger. I'm not saying that's bad, but it didn't exactly put him back in the top, conversation as far as him. It didn't leave anyone salivating for him to fight Tyson Fury again. We'll just put it that way. Or for him to fight Tyson Fury at all, I should say. So I think that Joshua and Usyk will fight soon, probably, early 2022. And Fury and Fury and Wilder. For Fury and Wilder, there was someone that said, do you think Fury and Wilder will fight again? I certainly hope not. I think it's played out. I think I understand fully who the better fighter is out of the two now. Fury won 2 fights easily against Wilder. The first fight, arguably, that was scored a draw A lot of people thought Fury won that as well. I did as well. So I'm kind of over the trilogy now. It was a trilogy. The draw shouldn't have been a draw. Fury won the second fight pretty handily. Definitely won the third fight. I think it's over for Wilder and Fury to ever, share the ring again. And I do think that Fury is somewhat hoping that Joshua wins against Usyk this time around, so that we get this Fury Joshua fight, which would be huge for the sport of boxing, huge for Tyson Fury, huge for Anthony Joshua. And really, that's the fight I've wanted to see for quite some time. Both British boxing champions, both guys that have, been in each other's crosshairs for over 10 years now. Both guys fought Vladimir Klitschko and beating Klitschko. Fury had a much more dominant performance against Klitschko. Joshua had a slobber knocker against Klitschko. So that's a fun measuring stick, right? Vladimir Klitschko, one of the better boxing champions in recent memory, fought both Joshua and Fury, and we can kind of gauge that common opponent with Fury and Joshua. If they were to fight, how would maybe things shake up, shake out? We'll see. I would really like to see Fury and Joshua at some point, but I have to say, an instant classic indeed for Wilder to make the adjustments that he made en route to, albeit a losing effort. The respect for me to him went way up. He made serious adjustments. He was right there. It was a close fight. Gas tank got away from him a little bit, but Tyson Fury was able to close the distance, land that big shot in the 11th round, and get that W. I'm Ryan Thomas. That was my recap of Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, Part 3. Tyson Fury and still world heavyweight champion, waiting on Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua. I think the winner of that fight between Usyk and Joshua could potentially be next for Tyson Fury. I'm Ryan Thomas. It was the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care and enjoy any and all coverage that I provide you guys with combat sports. I know I enjoy it. Got a big game tonight, Bills and Chiefs. I'll be sure to give you more Buffalo Bills content as well. So stay tuned for that and much, much more. Take care.